Good morning. Hand today's going to be Pocket Kings. In this hand, we have a limper, I isolate, and he calls. So 25 hands at the table, that's all we have. This guy's playing 44-16. When we look at his stats, he has a limp first in one time in early position. This will be the second time. And that seems about the only time where he limps. He does call occasionally, and what's more, he raises raise first in 2 out of 5 here, 2 out of 3 in mid position. So we know he has a raising range. I think normally, let's say you've got like suited connectors here. You've got jacks plus, maybe tens plus. I think you've got like ace queen plus ace jack suited, king queen, your suited connectors and so forth. And that kind of leaves, the limp calling hands to be like pocket pairs and maybe like ace jack offsuit. If they limp with that, actually, no, I don't even think they limp with that. I think this is probably just raising range. I think king queen is possibly in there, king queen off. Like ace 10, that could be a raising range, it could be a limping range, but definitely I think it's going to be heavy on pocket pairs. Our ISO raising range, if we look at early position, we've got an always and an optional. I think against a player that limps under the gun, I tend to go with the optional ISO and just try to get heads up, get position on him. And if he's limping under the gun, he doesn't seem to be very good. So flop comes down 9-8-2. Not terribly bad for us. Not terribly bad, also because we have the king of hearts. So we could pick up flush draws. I think we've got a lot of hands that we could continue with. Villain checks. I assume he's going to always check to us, and we bet here about a half pot. I do think we could go one third pot. He's got a lot of pocket pairs in his range. He can connect a lot, and then he's got all of these overcards. I think what we're trying to do is bet a little bit smaller to try to get some of these overcards to call just once. I don't think any of the smaller pairs would probably go for it, but maybe these, they'll call once. So I'm not really a super fan of the half pot bet. What's our C betting range going to look like? I think you're going to get a set. I think 2 pair, over pair, top pair type hands. I think we're going to have like flush draw. Let's get this open ender. I think gut shot's going to be some of those. I think are like sevens are going to probably be a C bet here. I think the overcards. I don't think we're doing all of the overcards though. I think what we want to do is kind of these overcards that are 2 card backdoor flush draws, something like that. We're gonna go for it. We just don't have a whole lot of hands to judge his fold to see bet stat. So I think we're gonna bet. I think we're gonna see quite a few folds. But if we went smaller, I think that could be a little bit better. And he calls. So here I'm kind of thinking set, over pair, top pair type hand. I think with the half pot size, we're folding out some hands. Maybe he calls a gut shot, maybe he doesn't, but something like that. And definitely you can see he's got the equity edge at this point because we have a bunch of draws. Turn comes at 10. Villain checks, and the question is, if he already called once, what would he call with again? Would it be worth it to bet? And you can see that he has a lot of sets in his range at this point, 57%. If we bet, he's definitely going to be calling with those. He's probably calling with top pair, possibly with middle pair, like a jack 9 again. And he's calling with the flush draw. I do think he is calling with those. Probably also the open ender. So you're looking at basically that's almost his entire range here. So we're not getting a whole lot of folds. I think we get value from these hands. So yeah, I do kind of think we're going to be slowing down here. But I think we bet our straights. I think we bet our sets. I think we bet our 2-pair. Our overpair probably also. I think we're all just kind of going for value. It just doesn't seem right. I guess we're betting 100%. He calls 100%. That just doesn't seem right. We must be like, I think based on the number of sets. Well, I kind of look at it this way: if we bet and we get raised, we're probably up against a set. So maybe we do bet to kind of see where we're at. But at the same time, maybe it's good to kind of have a lot of these in our checking range and really just kind of bet straights, and maybe even like our top sets like 10s and 9s. Let's do that. 2 sets. And then maybe just like, whoops. Yeah, maybe something like that. All right, so what do? I did bet, and that's gonna basically be, we're gonna say 100% because I think that's what we did initially. Is just like we're going for value. Here, this guy raises, and he raises basically about a half pot. I think the raise is basically almost always going to be a set at this point. I have a hard time kind of assuming I have a hard time saying a flush draw in this range. I have a hard time saying 2-pair in this range. I think this is just a straight set, 8s, 9s, and 10s. And unfortunately, I think we're just going to have to fold it. And we should fold it. I didn't do that. I called here. So I think that's our range here, 57. We're behind. I called, 3 hearts comes out. He checks, and the question now is, I assume he has a set on that bad board. Could I possibly have the flush? Could I represent the flush? Could I get him to fold any of this stuff? Well, he only has 31. I think that's going to be a hard bet here to kind of bet and try to get him to fold. I think this is going to be pretty much a call, because if I bet he's getting 4-1, he's going to only need like 20% to call, and I think Trips probably calls this. If he had a bigger stack, maybe we can go bigger, but you can see that I just don't think we have enough to go for a bluff. I mean, we do have the king of hearts. We know flush draws probably like ace, well, like a king, queen, king, jack. I just don't think he has a whole lot. So we get to it. He shows 9-10 for 2-pair. I didn't have that in his range because I kind of assumed that would have been in his raising range, like jack 10, 10-9, 9-8. I do think maybe he would have those smaller pocket pairs. So if he does, if we put those, I do think 2-pair is in that check raising range. And I just said it's kind of hard for me to find a 2-pair hand, but here he has it. So how do I think it played? I mean, I was getting value on the flop. I do think we bet smaller on the turn. Once that check raise happened, I think we have to let our hand go. I think I think we have to let our hand go because we're not going to have enough money to bluff at it if a heart comes like it did here. So I cost myself money. And yeah, I'm going to say that the other thing, if I bet like a 3rd pot on the flop, the pot would have been smaller. So it would have been less on my turn, and I think a turn probably would have been a half pot bet, half pot lead, and then when he raises, we give it up. So made the mistake. I called. I shouldn't have. I knew I was beat. I didn't think it was 2-pair. I thought it was Trips, but we can take notes on him. So and that's what we did. We had a note on there. I did have a note. So on the 8th. I said it was poorly played beginning. I should have folded to the check raise. Exactly, 100%. So it was it. I mean, we kind of hit it. We shouldn't have done that. Yep. There it is. Heart came. We could have applied it, but I don't think we have enough. So even if we were going to consider calling the turn, we have to call with the idea that maybe we're going to bet on that river. So just going to take some more notes here and then call it a day. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, look tomorrow for another one.